Episode 5, Talk of the O-Town. Got a little bit of a special episode today. We're going to be going over the history of O-Town. But before we do that, Jacob, I'll let you show off some of our new color options for the apparel.
Yeah, so we got some new apparel in. This is not all of the new colors that we got, but just some of them that I just snagged on my way in today. So right here we've got some of the stringers, which we got some really cool, vibrant colors. We got an orange, red. This is kind of like a military green. We got white, and then this is like a light blue. This is a long sleeve and kind of like a, what would you call this, Dalton?
I think it's called Tahiti blue. That's
Tahiti blue.
Yeah, that's the one I actually got. So
yeah, so we got Tahiti blue. We have a whole bunch of other colors too. We just honestly these kind of flew off the shelves, so we've only got one of these new ones, but just wanted to kind of show some of these off. Tons of new hoodie options too. We've got this Envy green.
Yeah, I believe that's what it's called. Close enough.
Yeah, just a light kind of like a pine
Kelly,
color, if you would. Now we have a royal blue, if you would. What's this?
Maroon.
Maroon.
Yeah, a little
Maroon
light.
color?
I don't know, maroonish.
And then we had a gray before, but this is kind of just like a lighter tint of gray for the hoodies. So I just wanted to show that off for everybody. So if you do want to pre-order anything, I would highly recommend that. You can do that on the website.
Yes, you can do that on the website. All orders on the website are based off of our pre-orders. So if you put something into the website, whatever color option, we'll order that. On the next time we make an order form, it'll be included. So we'll obviously let you guys know of specific dates for when like a deadline is. But yeah, there is that order form sheet at the front desk. And didn't you say something about the sizing with the sweatshirt? Shouldn't you order a...
Yeah, hoodies, you should go a size up. They run a size small. So if you're like, I'm a large, I wear an extra large hoodie. They do run a size small. So
yeah, definitely good info to know. But yeah, like I said, website or front desk, or worst comes to worst, just come up to us and let us know. We'll
and then
definitely
if you
get
are
hooked
watching
up.
this as well, I am drinking water out of our O-Town Iron shaker bottles, which we also have for sale for $14.99.
Yeah, and believe it or not, you honestly get more hydrated drinking out of the O-Town bottles. So
Your protein works better too.
yeah,
when you drink out of
everything.
these.
So you might as well just get one. That's what we're saying. But yeah, we covered the apparel, so let's get into the story of O-Town. So where did the name and idea come for O-Town?
Yeah, so I guess O-Town, like any other business, kind of just started obviously as an idea. When we first came up with the name for O-Town, I was in college in Madison. It was between my sophomore, junior year of college. And we were back, for anybody that is from Oshkosh, we have Country USA every year, which is kind of like a country music festival. But we were actually day drinking. Me and my buddies were just kind of like joking around, saying, we'd go to the gym in the morning. Kind of just went to one of the health clubs in Oshkosh. And it was fine, but, we were paying $14 for a day pass and listen to Taylor Swift music. And we were kind of just like,
Looking for something that fits more
looking
your
for
style.
something else. We were joking around like, oh, that'd be so cool if there's like a cool like gym that plays like workout music, like
Throw some weights
a lot
around.
of character, throw some weights around, So we were it was totally just shooting the shit, drinking beers during the day. And my friends actually came up with the name O-Town Iron. And for them, it was just kind of like a drinking thing,
Right.
We're like,
They
oh,
probably
then we're
didn't
not
even-
going to actually do that.
Right.
Like people do
They
that all the
probably
time.
never even remembered it the next day.
No. But I wouldn't let them forget it because I mean, it was an awesome concept, It was just like O-Town Iron. Like, I didn't come up with the name, so I'll brag about the name. I'll brag about the logo because I didn't actually come up with it. Other people named it and came up with it, but I loved it. I was like, God, that would work so well in Oshkosh. Like, we had the Y and Planet anytime. We were like, there's no gyms. We can go around just like lift how you want, like listen, like have a good community of people that like, you can just, with a lot of character, that's not like kind of toned down by like the health club type of feel where, you can have cool murals, stuff like that. Anyways, so I came up with that and that kind of like sparked the idea. But honestly, at the time I was going to school for political science, so it's not like I really had any clue what I was doing.
For sure.
I wouldn't say I still do know what I'm doing. We're kind of figuring it out as we go, but, anyways.
So, I mean, a lot of people come up with business ideas. So what would you say for yourself? obviously everyone has ideas coming into their head 24/7. So what was it that made this one idea stick, and what were the actions that you took to make this into a real thing?
So the first part, what made this stick? I don't really know what made it stick. I mean, it kind of just haunted me. Like, just all week during that Conscious Day week, that's all I would talk about. And people were just getting like, dude, are you serious? Like, we were just joking around, right. But that's all I'd talk about. Like, just throwing ideas. Like, we could have like this kind of music. We could paint the walls this color. We could have these murals. We could do this equipment. Like, right. I'm just throwing stuff out. I'm writing it down. I get on my computer, I'm looking up commercial real estate. Why this concept? I don't know. But like, they come up with this O-Town iron. I had it. I had the vision in my head, and I was like, this is it. And I was like, just determined that this is going to be a thing one day. So I don't know why it stuck, but next steps I would say were I just kind of started. I was like, all right, well, I guess you have to make a business plan. I know where to start. I was like, I'll just start there. So I just started Googling stuff. Like, all right, how do you make a business plan? Did what I could. Super rough to start. If you were right now, just be like, oh, I'm gonna start, a restaurant. You'd be like, how the fuck do you start? You wouldn't
start listing
that
stuff.
Was me. I just started kind of putting stuff together, and then anybody I knew that like was in business, I was like, hey, would you go to lunch with me? Would you mind looking over my business plan? Like, I'll buy you lunch, and maybe you could just give me some pointers. Right. And people were very helpful. I realized the generosity in business during that whole process, because family, friends, or just people I knew, and they were just so happy to help. And I've actually built some really good relationships and gotten some really good mentors through that process. Just because they were like, they kind of saw something. They were like, you know what? Like, and it was rough. Don't get me wrong. The business plan was bad when we first started, and they broke it down. They tore it apart, but they're like, I kept coming back, and I kept like, hey, I changed what you said. Can you look at it again? And they're like, they kind of appreciated that. So, I definitely experienced a lot of generosity in that process. But that's how I got started, just kind of getting a business plan.
So you got the business plan. You've met with some people that have revised it for you. So now let's say, you got a little bit more of a final business plan. What's next? You getting the first facility? What's the next move?
Next move is getting money. I had the business plan, but even once the business plan, like I had it, kind of finished up, it was pretty good. We had a pretty good business plan because so many people had put their input, and we had a pretty solid business plan. But still, I was 20 years old at the time. So, I didn't have a lot of money or anything. No collateral. I didn't have a house that I could put on as collateral. Right. Didn't have a cosigner, and I didn't really want to get any partners. I wanted it to be 100% my business. For sure. So I was pretty adamant about that. So, you go to a bank, for anybody that's looking to start a business or anything, or is familiar with this, banks are very low risk. They want collateral. They want something, they want to see that you've been in the field for a while. I'd never even worked in a gym prior to this. I wasn't even a personal trainer. Like, I didn't know anything. Right. So I was a huge risk. So I started visiting with banks, and I'm just getting shot down left and right. Super awkward interactions where you're sitting in a conference table, and they're looking it over, and I could just feel the sweat on my forehead.
You can just watch the facial expressions just blowing
Oh my God, it was so. You could name any bank in Oshkosh, and I got rejected by them, and it was so humbling.
So where'd you find the help then?
So what I ended up doing, I got rejected by enough banks. One of them was and actually, shout out to Verve Credit Union, because they're the ones that pointed me in the right direction. I actually bank with Verve now, and they're fantastic, because they really helped me out in this process. But I sat down with the rep from Verve, and basically the guy was like, listen, I'm gonna be honest, I can't help you, but here's an organization that might be able to. Basically what this organization I ended up working with, they're a nonprofit economic development corporation. So basically what that means is their sole purpose is to give out loans to people that might be a little bit higher risk where a bank won't loan to them, but they have a good business plan, and they think the market could like sustain the business model, and they think it's they believe in the entrepreneur. They'll give out those loans. Now they are SBA backed, which means that the government, if it fails, the government will, pay for it or whatever. They get backed by the government. But with that being said, the interest rates are a bit higher too. So I finally started working with this organization, And basically how it worked was you get this consultant, and then you work with the consultant. You put together your cash flows and show them the business plan. And once you and your consultant are far enough where they're ready, you go with your consultant to the loan officer, and then you pitch it in front of this board. It's like Shark Tank. For anybody that's seen Shark Tank, there's people you have to pitch it to. And then if they like you, they'll give you the money. But it takes forever. Like a bank, this whole process will be done in a couple of weeks. This took months of like going back and forth with them. So anyways, at this time, I'm trying to get money, but the other part of opening a gym is you need a building. So simultaneously, I'm looking at commercial properties, and I started working with this one landlord, and I had the deal put together. We had a lease drawn up. We were ready to go, and I'm working, getting the financing. Everything seemed to be going well. And all of a sudden, one day, the landlord comes to me. He's like, hey, I need you to sign this lease by tomorrow. Otherwise, I'm going to give it to this other gym that's interested. So I'm like, son of a bitch. At this time, I already dropped out of school.
Right.
Because I was like,
it's all or nothing now.
It's all or nothing. Yeah. So I already dropped out. And I moved back, and I get this. I'm like, son of a bitch. Like, I wasn't approved. And I'm like freaking out. Came back a couple days later, and I'm like, listen, man, like I'm just not far enough in the financing to be able to sign this. So he gave it to another gym. So I just dropped out of school. I don't have a building. I don't have financing. I've got a piece of paper with an idea for a gym, and that's it. So I'm just like freaking out. Ended up, I called one of my business mentors, Steve, another one of those people that helped me out along the way. Very grateful for Steve. He was actually a restaurant consultant for the job I was working at during this time. But called Steve, and I'm like, Steve, I'm freaking out. Like, I don't know what to do. He's like, Jacob, you've got this. He's like, you just got to keep at it. Like, this is going to happen. You're going to have your ups and downs. Like, I believe in you. You just got to keep going. I'm like, all right, that's really all I needed. So I was like, all right, we'll figure it out. Keep working with the financial institution. My real estate agent or realtor calls me one day out of nowhere. He's like, hey, there's this office building over by the movie theater. They're moving out. It's like a between 4,000 or 5,000 square foot facility. And he's like, there's a new landlord that bought it out, and these people are moving out. Let's go check it out. So I'm like, I don't think anything comes of it. It's an office building.
Yeah.
We walked through. This landlord just bought the whole complex, so he's just trying to get tenants in.
For sure.
So I walked through. I'm like, this is great. It's a big facility, but like, I need to make it into a gym. It used to be an office building. So I'm like, I need locker rooms, I need showers, I need drop ceilings removed, I need rubber floors. Comes back a couple days later and proposes terms. He's like, listen, I'll do the build out. These are the terms, and then, this is what you'd pay in rent over this amount of time. So he makes his money back, but, as a business owner, you don't have money or anything like that. You don't have the collateral to dump in to renovate. So I'm like, well, hell yeah. And he didn't require a cosigner either. Like I said, I was 20 years old at the time. So, he gives me these terms, but he's like, we have to sign it by this date if we want to have the build out done, because I wanted to open by New Year's Eve, because that's when the rush is. So I was like, all right. So I kind of start working with him, still pushing it forward on the financing end, but I didn't have the financing secured yet. So I go to my business consultant and I go, hey, listen, you've worked with people like this in the past, like looking at my file, do you think I'm going to get approved? I was like, give me your best gut answer. Like, do you think I will? And he's like, Jacob, I've been doing this for some time. I think you got a real strong case. I really do think you're going to get approved. So I'm like, all right. So I signed this lease before I was approved for the money. So then it's like grind time. I'm like, all right, we got to fucking do it now.
You thought it was all or nothing before.
It was all or nothing. Now it's really all or nothing. So I'm just like, I was just so like, I knew in my head that it was going to work. No matter what was thrown at me, I was like, it's going to work. So I was like, the money will come one way or another. I will make it happen. But like, I gotta keep things pushing forward.
They say that's the first step to anything successful is delusional confidence.
Absolutely. And that's really what it was. Just relentlessness at the end of the day. I was like, even if this financing falls through, I'm going to make it work somehow. And I don't know how, but I'm going to do it.
Right.
So sign the lease, and then it's go time. So we start the build out. I did have some money. Like I had a Cadillac, a really nice Cadillac. I sold that, got a shitty truck. I used some money, put it into the business, and just put everything. I was just dumping everything into this project. Ends up, the financing finally ended up coming through on that end, got approved. But it was like, I think I didn't actually get the money till like after opening day. So I somehow scraped everything together to like get some equipment. Like we opened our grand opening and we didn't have locker rooms. We were pretty like not finished.
Bare minimum.
But we still like, we had just such hardcore branding. Like at that time, I was trying to go for the niche of like hardcore gym, bodybuilder, powerlifter. So we got a lot of attention from people because of that. But we ended up making it work.
Now that we're here, so what was the grand opening date?
February 3rd of 2018.
So tell me a little bit about the first 6 months.
So first 6 months, and that's another thing I should say. So technically we opened 2018. Our logo, like you guys can see that are watching, it says established 2017. As far as I'm concerned, Old Town Iron was established in 2017. That's why I kept it that way.
Yeah.
Like, did we open our doors 2018? Yeah, but like I said, I knew in 2017, like, this is it. Old Town's a thing now.
Sure.
Like, we don't have the building yet, but that's it. So that's why I kept it as 2017. What was your question, though?
The first 6 months, just kind of walk through. You know, you got the finances, you got the space. Now, what's going on in the gym? What's going on in O-Town?
First 6 months, it's so funny. I had no idea what I was doing, but I thought I did. Mm-hmm. So the more I'm in business, the more I realize there's a lot that I don't know. And, like, you have to really rely on good people to, like, make an organization move forward. But when I first started, I was like, oh, I got this. Like, you know, we had a few sign-ups, so I'm like, oh, we're on the right track. And, you know, I've got some working capital from the loan I took out. And, you know, I just thought I knew what I was doing, which I was so far off from being right. Because you know, any new business you start up, you're going to get just the excitement of a new business. So I took that as, oh, I know what I'm doing because we're getting people signed up. No, it's exciting to open a new business. You can't, that's very like naive to think that, you know, you are doing something right. So anyways, we get some sign-ups. I'm doing this. The person that actually kind of started putting me on the right track and shifting my perspective on how to run an organization was Craig Schmidt, which he deserves to be talked about because Craig's not around anymore. Unfortunately, he passed away just about a year ago. But he called me one day. He was a professor at UWO, and he calls me and he goes, "Hey, I'm a professor. I'm wondering if you're handicap accessible." I'm like, "Yep, absolutely." And he's like, "Well, you know, I'm not looking for a personal trainer, but I'm looking for someone to kind of help me with my weights, maybe, you know, whatever." He's like, "I'm willing to pay you, you know, whatever, but I don't really need like personal training."
Right, just assistance.
But yeah. And I was like, "Well, you know, sir, my name's Jacob. I'm the owner here." I was like, "Just let me know when you're coming in. As long as I'm not busy or in a meeting, I'd be happy to help you out." I didn't know this at the time, but he thought that was really cool that like the owner would take his time out of his day to help him out. So we started working together, and what should have been half-hour workouts would be like 2 hours long because we just sit there, and turns out this guy was the CEO of a hospital and president of nursing homes, like just a corporate hotshot all of his life. Mm-hmm. And he was retired now. He's like 64, 65 at the time. But he's like, "Hey, listen, Jacob, after working together for, you know, a few weeks, he's like, I'm retired from this, but like I like to build organizations. This is what I do. I'd like to help you out with this if that's something you're open to." And Craig and I developed a really close relationship at this time. So I was like, you know, that sounds great. I would love to, but, you know, I'm gonna be honest, I don't really have the money to pay you. He was like, "Well, you know," he's like, "Jacob, you've got integrity. I know that from talking to you, from us working together. Let's just shake hands that, you know, the programs that I help you implement, once the business starts making money, then I'll get a kickback from it." Shook hands, and we both had that relationship where we knew I wasn't greedy, he wasn't greedy.
Yeah.
You know, we loved working together. We really enjoyed it. And, you know, we knew that like when we shook hands and looked each other in the eye, that was it. That was more than a contract could, you know,
more than
solidify.
You needed. Yeah, just
so,
right there.
Yeah, exactly. So then Craig and I started working together, and we really would get into it. I mean, he was there like 5 days a week, and we had such a good relationship where we knew at the end of the day it was all about the business, but we would really get at, like I said, I didn't know what I was doing, and I thought I did. Yeah. Craig did know what he was doing,
so
but he acted like he didn't, right? So we'd work together, and there'd be certain ideas where, like, you know, he'd really humble me, just get after me, and we would yell at each other. We'd get in disagreements, but it was, at the end of the day, we always, like, shook hands. We respected each other, and it was all for the right reasons. It was for the good of O-Town. So Craig really, and the more I worked with him, the more I realized, like, man, this guy's right. Like, there's a lot that I don't know, and he really helped, like, put people in the right position to grow this company, like, and put it in the right direction. And if it weren't for Craig, we would have went under probably within a year. Yeah. But he really, like, helped me figure out how to run a business and not be so, like, realize I didn't know. You know what I'm saying?
Right, yeah, he was just that mentor that you needed.
Yeah.
When would you say, when about was it that he came on time wise?
Had to be like 3 months after we opened.
Okay.
So around May or something.
Okay. And then, so obviously anyone that's at the gym now knows that you are in a new facility. Is there any key points you want to go over before we kind of switch to that transition to the new facility? Because that's obviously the big step in the story.
Yeah. So then new facility was kind of the reason that we kind of made the move to the new facility. Obviously, it's much bigger and we got good equipment, stuff like that. But our main motivation was that we're trying to pivot the business model a bit. So when Craig came on, one of the things when I started was, like I said, I was trying to go for the niche of the bodybuilders and powerlifters. And I was trying to make it a hardcore gym. We had black walls and metal music, And after not very long, our membership numbers were plateauing. We couldn't get people in the door. We had to, but that was something I didn't know. It was like, hey, I don't know how to look at a market and be like, hey, this isn't sustainable in this market.
Right.
There's not enough people for this to actually grow in the long term.
Yeah.
So that was something with the new facility that, hey, with this location, we can get this new equipment in that's not all like, make it a little bit more like a health club, but not quite, make it much cleaner and really rebrand ourselves so that we can open up the market and anybody can come in and feel comfortable,
Sure.
So we started doing stuff like that. Me and another gym owner actually bought out Gold's Gym out of Waukesha that went out of business. So we split a bunch of the equipment from there. So we got new equipment, more cardio. We started putting more color on the walls. Changed the music so it's not just heavy metal type stuff. Really trying to make it so anybody can come in and feel comfortable. Now we still stayed true. We still wanted to stay true to our base members, the people that got us going.
Right.
So the bodybuilders, the powerlifters, they didn't feel as if we were compromising our original vision to a point where they left the gym, but we opened it up so that anybody could feel it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. And I can attest to that as well. There's still chalk at the gym. There's still the deadlift station. Mm-hmm. You guys did stick to that core, but 100%. I mean, my mom goes to O-Town now.
Right.
We definitely have opened up to a lot more people.
Right.
Which, like you said, is a huge business step, especially if you guys were plateauing. So when did you move in? When did you know you were going to be moving into that new facility?
I can't remember. The landlord at the new facility and I were negotiating for quite some time. It took a while to finally put that project together.
Well, I should ask, when did you open the new facility then?
Mid-November. I don't remember the exact day.
I don't either, but it was November. It was right before winter started.
But I will say this though. So when I was first opening the gym, it was such a shit show of getting equipment. I had 7 storage garages of equipment.
Yeah.
I'd ask buddies with trailers to help do stuff, and it was a mess trying to get everything in there. With the new facility, with our members are so freaking awesome that I just sent out an email to everyone. I was like, hey, we're gonna be closed for a couple days as we upgrade the facility. If anyone would like to help, I'll give you some free membership. But otherwise, we'd really appreciate it. Otherwise, this is what we're doing. We had so many members come and help us with the move. We had 5 Penske trucks, big 26-foot Penske trucks with lift gates. We all went over there. All right, you do this, you do this, you do this. We're undoing the equipment, moving it, get it in, load it over. 1 or 2 days, and everything got moved over. That's awesome. Literally, we're at the new facility, and we're putting the equipment together. And I'm walking around trying to show everyone, all right, delegate everything, put this here, put this together like this, blah, blah. I couldn't even make a full round before people would come back all right, now what do you want me to do?
Yeah.
So it was so smooth and so efficient, and shout out to the members for this too, because we had so much manpower that it was so clean, such an efficient move. And I was so grateful for that. We just had such a good core of members to help us out with that.
That's awesome. And the move was the biggest. I mean, you can't make a bigger move for the gym. So
right. Well, and that's the thing. So, and this is another thing that I want to point out now that we're on the topic of it. The thing that made O-Town successful in the end that I didn't think at first, but the more I'm running the business has become so much more important for me to realize and acknowledge is that it is not any one person that made O-Town. It's not me that made O-Town what it is. It's not any of the trainers. It's everyone together that brought this project together. Those members that all came together and helped us out, that's what made us do it. When we had to shut down for COVID, the members that continued to pay their dues because they wanted to support us, they're the one that's got us there. Our trainers that come in, you that came in, it's everybody that came together, all my business mentors. If it weren't for any one part of those, we wouldn't be where we are today. So that was something that I've learned over time, is that, like, you know, it was such a group effort. You know,
Yeah, it takes a
everyone,
team.
we had this vision of what O Town Iron is, and everybody just wants to contribute to that. And I'm so grateful for everyone that has been, that it's so like I'm getting goosebumps talking about it right now. Does that make sense?
No, 100%. And that's beautiful. I couldn't agree more. I think that's a great spot to leave off for the part one of the story. Obviously, as the years go on and as we keep working, we'll keep adding to this story. And who knows, maybe down the road, a year or two, we'll do another episode and just update you guys of what's been going on behind the scenes. Just one question before we get off here. What's one thing, if you had to tell your 17 self one thing, what would it be?
I guess I wouldn't say anything, because everything needed to be learned on good time.
Perfect. Yep.
You know what I mean?
I agree 100%.
So I wouldn't say anything, because every part of Oats, we went through these phases, and I had to learn something different at each part, and it was a struggle, and I was very stupid at many times, but it all had to happen at the timing that it did. So I wouldn't say anything, to be honest with you.
That's perfect. Well, it got you to where you are today. As a family friend, I can attest to how concerned some of the family was, you know, during the times that things are getting crazy. And where we're at now is honestly impressive. And I'm proud of you. I'm proud of the company.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that.
And it was a great episode. I'll drop another one next week.